Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus, the Bank of Canada rate statement, ISM services. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All the reports we discuss are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully, please. Okay, everyone. So let's talk a bit about what's going on in the news right now. So the Bank of Canada is the first event that we're looking at. And there's a big thought now that they may be cutting rates. This has been a report that has been extremely difficult to trade, just in the sense that it hasn't returned much money. It hasn't been moving. It started moving a little bit more recently than it had been in the past, but we've had it set up as a trap trade. Now, one of the issues is we have to deal with multiple
So we're looking now
reports.
to the market
We
on
do
open
have
imbalance.
the
The S&P
ISM
500 to buy side at
services
138 million.
coming at
The
10
Nasdaq
o'clock.
100 near flat with a 1 million buy
And that's
side.
a more important
Dow
report
30
for
up
us
30
because
million
it's
buy
more
side
of a
with the
money
FTSE flat
generator
at 0 million.
than the Bank of Canada. So here's the deal with the Bank of Canada. We don't know if they're going to raise rates or not raise rates, if they'll cut rates. If they cut rates, the other issue is we don't know what it's going to do to the currency futures. There's no way to know what kind of response we're going to get. All we can do is look at the various spikes that we've seen over time and see if we think it's possible to have a setup. Here's the thing. One of the issues trading the Bank of Canada rate report as a breakout trade can definitely have liquidity issues. The Canadian dollar futures often has liquidity issues. We have a lot of trap setups. Trap trade setups are good when an instrument doesn't often have great liquidity. But the problem we're being faced with is we just don't know what the response is going to be. I do think that a trap trade is tremendously risky today because if they cut rates, I think it's more probable that we'll get a burst in one direction. I'm not positive. I mean, I can't say that definitively that's what's going to happen, but I think it can blow the trap trade through the roof and blow through our stops. So, first of all, we normally don't trade this report very much. So it probably makes sense for us to watch this report. Um, maybe it'll give us a heads up about the ECB tomorrow because they're expected to drop rates also. Um, Look, you can trade the DMM, but you have to be aware of what's going on in the world right now. Okay. And we did make a note in the DMM. The Bank of Canada is expected to cut rates for the first time in several months after 9 hikes. Okay. 6C, very thin volume, high slippage, high risk of a stop on a massive spike. All right. We've told you what's possible. You have to decide if you think this is worth trading. I personally don't because I don't know what it's going to do. I know that Canada has very difficult liquidity. So, what might be the smartest thing to do? Set up a reversal trade using our reversal trade feature in the software. It's $5 a tick, so you can be careful. And let's say we go for a 30 tick target and a 25 tick stop. All right. And let's watch the report. I think if there's an opportunity, maybe we'll see that opportunity and we'll be able to get in after the news. But I think today the risk is just too high on Canada to take a breakout or a trap because something very different is possibly going to occur today. And our setup has never been great on this report in the past year anyway. So it's not like we're giving up a high profit, great report that's been phenomenal. This is a report we most of the time haven't been trading it. We've been watching it anyway. So let's do the smart thing. Set up an after the trade setup. I'm just using 30 tick target, 25 tick stop. I mean, really, I'm going to use a 28 tick stop. Um, and we'll see if there is an opportunity after the news. But I think it's more appropriate to talk about ISM, okay? Because we don't have a lot of time after Canada. That's what I'm doing with Canada. I'll do it in my Top Step account, all right? And that's how
So in
I'm
10
looking
minutes
at
time now,
Canada. It's
9:45
just
a.m. Eastern time, we see the
you
release of
don't
the
need to
Bank of
take
Canada interest
ultra
rate decision.
risk
A
on a
median
report that
forecast is a
hasn't been giving
25
us
basis
profits
point cut to
anyway. So,
4.75% from
and it'll give us
5%.
a good heads
And with
up
this, we see the Bank
as
of
to
Canada rate
possibly what
decision
to
as well.
expect for the
And keep in
ECB,
mind as well,
because
in
it's
10 minutes
expected
time,
they
the
will
US
drop rates
S&P
also.
Services PMIs, the
I do
spot
want to
rate in
welcome
May.
everyone on YouTube.
Forecast
Thank you
is
very
54
much for
spot 8
joining us.
on the
Hit the
prior
like
54
button.
spot
That
8
would be really
with a range
nice.
of
We would
59
love
spot
that.
6 to
Hit the
51 spot 5.
notification bell so
The
you know
US
the next
composite
time we're
PMI
streaming.
final
We will be
forecast
streaming
54 spot
Friday,
2 on the prior
the jobs
54
report.
spot
So
8.
ISM services, you notice that it's been a nicely trading
So just to
report.
go a little bit more in
Okay.
depth into the Bank of
We have two
Canada rate
setups
decision
for it.
expectations, then. So the
If you like
range,
bonds,
well, sorry,
you
the
can
median
trade
is
bonds
based
on
on
this
a group
report.
of
If
30
you
highly
like
qualified
gold, and
economists.
I know
21
sometimes
of them are
gold is
looking for this 25
difficult,
basis point cut
but
down to
gold's been pretty solid
4.75%,
on this
with the
report.
remaining nine
Okay,
looking for
there's
it to
been some
remain
really good
unchanged at
spikes.
5%.
There's been some tough, tough times taking profits also. Um, but last month I was sick, I had COVID, and I didn't feel well enough to trade, but it was a monster move. I did come into the room and we did record it. But don't go by my sim results on this trade. But I just want to show you the move. Look at the volatility prior to the report. Keep in mind my charts were spread pretty wide. But what's important is bonds are on the right, gold is on the left. Early move there, didn't affect anything. And then a beautiful burst to the upside on gold and bonds. There definitely would have been slippage on that, but a lot of people made money on that report. Okay. It was a very, very nice breakout last month. Now, don't forget on your Canada, if you're considering doing what I'm doing, I'm just doing an after the news looking for a reversal, 30 tick target, 28 tick stop. If you are wanting to trade the trap trade, as I said before, the concern is if they do cut rates, and it is expected that they will, there is a possibility we could get a burst in one direction that could ruin the trap trade. It could just burst through the stop because we'll certainly get more than a 45 tick move, probably. Okay. Why do I say that? Because if we look at spike sheets, if you go back to when they were changing rates, 87 ticks, 100 ticks, 150 ticks in June, and then it started getting smaller. when the rates were done being raised. Okay. It was still a little bit inconsistent, not always getting fantastic reversals, not always getting a big move. It was a pretty inconsistent report. All right. But 150 ticks in June, 80 in October when rates were low and they were rate beginning, things were changing a year ago. So the risk is, look, the trap trade might just work normally today. They might not raise the rates. We don't know for sure. We have to just weigh the risk on a report that has not been a big profit center to begin with. So the tiers are 18 and 25 with a stop of 20. That's a very small setup if they change the rates. Okay. And it is expected they're going to, as it says on investing.com. So I'm choosing an after the news, see if there's any opportunity that shows itself. You might get a test of the low, test of the high, if
So in
depending
5 minutes'
on what the
time now, it's
burst is.
9:45
Okay.
a.m. Eastern Time. Obviously, the
Either
results of
way,
the
I
Bank of
think there's going
Canada
to be a
rate decision.
burst
Median
of
forecast
some
sees
sort on
rates
this
being cut
report.
to
And one
4.75%
of the big
from
issues with
5%.
Canada is
We also get the
liquidity.
Bank of Canada rate statement with this as well.
On
Alongside this,
gold
we get the
with
US
the
S&P Services PMI for May final
ISM,
read, forecast of 54.8 on the prior 54.8, with a range of
and don't forget
59.6
there's that
to
945
51.5.
report also.
Composite PMI forecast 54.2 on the prior
But our
54.4.
ISM gold setup is
So again, in terms of market
959.59.
probability for a rate cut from the Bank of Canada here, currently pricing in around 75.4%. Qualifying assumptions making
75%
up the
odds of a
median
rate cut.
forecast, a 21 of
Bracket at
30
12,
looking for this 25 basis point cut, while the remaining
and
9
I've got
looking for it to remain
targets
unchanged at 5%.
anywhere between 10 and 50 on ISM. All right. This report has been a good mover, and the stop is 20. And we'll come back to ISM after Canada. I will use a target one stop move. So right now, I'm just going to leave things the way they are. Let's go look at Canada because it's only 4 minutes away. So what I'm doing with ISM, just so everyone's up to date, it's a bracket of 12. It's a stop of 20. Targets anywhere between 10 and 50. Okay? Anywhere between 10 and 50. First, we got to get through final services at 9:45 and the Bank of Canada. You can check your time sync. We did check it previously on the previous trade. You can always check your time sync by going to the website Time Is, right? It's a habit that's good to have. Okay, my computer's been in sync very regularly. On Canada or on ISM, Roz? On ISM, Roz, on ISM, absolutely, if market moves. If you're only trading one contract, I would absolutely use if the market moves. That way, you have the ability to use a slightly, a bigger target. And if the market moves part of the way, you can protect some of that profit. So I would almost always use that feature if I'm trading one contract. Obviously, every report's different, but it's something that is viable for most trades. There's no reason not to use it.
1 minute remaining now. I'll lead with the Bank of
Okay,
Canada
so
rate
really,
decision.
let's see what kind of response we get to Canada. I don't know if I'm right, if I'm wrong. I'm just going based on what's going on in the world, what the expected situation is. We normally don't trade based on what we think the market's going to do, but there's extra risk today because of the situation at hand. So let's see if we're smart or we're not.
10 seconds.
And that's not even the case.
Cut,
Okay,
25 basis
so
point cut, 25 basis point cut to
they did cut the
4.75%
rate.
as expected. US
They did
S&P
cut the
services
rate,
PMI 50
and it's
54.8 to
probably
54.8 as
so
expected.
my
Composite PMI
I don't
54.6 to
know what kind of
54.5,
fill we
higher
would
than
have
forecast
gotten. There's no way to
54.2.
know what kind of fill you would have gotten.
So looking to the Bank of Canada rate statement now, the recent data have increased their confidence that
I don't
inflation will
know that I
continue to
want to
move towards the
chase it.
2%
It's a
target,
very
but
big
risks to the
move,
inflation outlook do
right?
remain
So
though.
I'm not a smart
So
enough
with continuing
discretionary
evidence that
trader.
underlying inflation is easing,
I
monetary
think it's
policy
probably
may
going to head
continue to
down
be as
to
restrictive.
S2, but
Macklem
there's a
noted
lot
that
of
further
risk
progress in bringing
in
down
chasing
inflation
it,
is likely to be uneven and
just
risky
as
will
there's risk
remain.
in taking
So
a
it's reasonable to
reversal.
expect
But you
more rate
see that
reductions as
our
inflation
trap,
continues to ease though.
and we can
We are taking
calculate
our
in a
rate
minute,
decisions one meeting at a time.
we can
Bank of
calculate
Canada
whether
noted
our
that
trap
three-month
would have
measures of
worked.
core inflation suggest
But
continued
they
downward
did
momentum in CPI.
cut the
The
rates.
Governing Council is
It did
particularly
create a
focused on
move in
tariffs,
one
risks of
direction.
demand
It
and
was
supply,
pretty
inflation
fast.
expectations and wage growth, as well as
And
corporate pricing power and behavior. The Governing Council for the Bank
like I
of
said,
Canada
we
is
want to
closely
really,
watching the
what's
evolution
interesting
of
is
core
gold
inflation.
did the same
Wage
move.
pressures remain, but look to be
Now, but we
moderating
don't know if
gradually.
gold was moving
Overall,
on
the recent data suggests that the
the other
economy is still
report,
operating in excess
right?
supply.
There's
The
all
Bank of
this
Canada noted that shelter
contamination that
price
goes on
inflation does remain
when
high
you
as
have
well, and the
multiple
economy is in
reports.
excess supply. There is room
So
for
there's
growth
not,
even as
it
inflation
just
continues
makes
to
it
recede.
more
Bank of
complicated.
Canada's
That's
Macklem
all.
notes that although
Just makes
Q1
it
growth
more
was
complicated.
weaker than the bank had forecast in April,
Let's get set
consumption
for
growth was solid and
ISM.
business
We can
investment and capital
analyze
activity
Canada
also
later.
increased.
Okay. I'm not taking a
Macklem
second
noted as well that
trade and
inflation
after the
could be
news
higher if
trade
global tensions escalate,
because
if Canada's
I
housing
think
prices rise
I've already
faster than
missed it.
expected, or wage growth
It's
remains
this is not easy sometimes.
high relative to productivity. Macklem also notes that total
Let me
CPI
get
could
my
climb
news set up.
consistently over the course of 2024, and indicators of underlying inflation increasingly point to a sustained easing. Their confidence that inflation will continue to move closer to the 2% target has increased over the recent
So
months.
the previous
Following the Bank of
report
Canada rate decision
was
there, they cut rates
almost
to
exactly as
4.75% as
expected.
expected, as well as
So
the rate
whether or
statement
not
noted to see a little bit
gold
of
was
weakness in
moving
the
to that
Canadian dollar
report
there as
or if it
well.
was moving with Canada, I think the odds are better it was moving with Canada, to be honest. It's a much more meaningful event. Okay. But I don't know that 100%. And that's not what we're trading. So it's just informational. There very well possibly could be a reversal on Canada, but we need to concentrate on ISM. So ISM has been trading quite well. There's two possible setups. You've got bonds, ZN 0924. Okay. And keep in mind that there is contamination from the rates being cut by Canada. This is a big deal. And it certainly affects the bond market. And it certainly affects the gold market. So we might want to trade, trade with careful risk on this report today. Now, on bonds, We have a bracket of 6. First the time, 9:59:58. The bracket is 6. Two positions, and we've got targets of 7 and 15 with a stop of 12. And
Here
then
is
I
spot
would
market data.
break
Shows a
even
60% chance
-3
of the
that
Bank of Canada cutting
on the
rates
target
again
one
further in
stop move.
July.
All right, so bonds, a bracket of 6, a stop of 12, always labeling it, of course. Trading bonds in my Top Step account. Check the bracket like we always do.
Order submitted. Order canceled.
Need to put it on the right chart so we see it.
Order submitted.
Okay, there's our orders.
So in 10 minutes time now
Order
at the top of the
canceled.
hour,
So it
we'll
is
take a look at the
possible we
US
could get a
ISM
move
services
out of
PMI for the month of
bonds
May as well.
on
A
ISM.
forecast
So I'll
51
make
on the
sure that
prime,
my
49
time is
spot 4,
correct.
range 52.5 to
9:59:58.
49. For the breakdown, the
Bracket of
ISM
6.
Services Employment Index
Targets anywhere
forecast at
between
47 spot 2 on the prime,
6 and
45 spot
20.
9. The
Stop
prices
is
paid is
12.
forecast at
Target
59
one
on the
stop
prime,
move. I
59
am
spot
using
2,
it.
and the new orders
Break
index
even
forecast 53
-3, and
spot
I'll put
2
my
on the
charts on
prime, 52
Top
spot
Step.
2. But keep in mind as well, we've posted the S&P Services PMI May final report on the feed.
All right, so bonds are ready to go. Okay. We started on our gold setup. You can
So
see that
Marco,
gold's
who's an
been
economist
trading
at
well
S&P
on
Global Market
ISM. You
Intelligence,
can trade
says that a
ZF.
return to
I
growth
don't
of
see
new
any reason why
businesses
not,
following
Roz.
April's
If
blip
you'd like,
supported
sure.
a market strengthening of growth in US
ZF
service
should
sector for
move
the month
with
of May.
ZN on this
Coming on the back
report.
of a similar acceleration in the manufacturing sector, the data suggests a healthy pace of
So on
expansion in the
our
US private sector,
ISM,
approaching the midway point of this year.
9:59:59 is our trigger. We have a bracket of 12, a stop of 20. Targets. This trade's been moving rather large for the past 6 months. 80 ticks, 90 ticks, 80 ticks, 116 ticks. I'm being pretty conservative. And that's because, you can see pops with slippage issues, and I'm not being greedy. I'm just going for, I think you can have targets anywhere between 10 and 70 ticks if you wanted to. I think 70 is asking a lot. It's definitely asking a lot. But the way it's been moving, I think I'm going to stay with my thinking that I'm going to be under 40 on my setup. Now, if let's say you want to do that one target issue, so you could do the bracket and the stop are the same, you have one position, and then if the market, and let's say, what would you choose as a target? So, what would you choose as a target if you're only going to trade one contract of gold on ISM services? I would probably choose a target of 30, somewhere in there, between 25 and 40, right? Let's say you choose 30. If the market moves 20 ticks, I'd move my stop to break even plus 15. So that way, if the market doesn't go 30, it doesn't hit your target, but it's a decent move, and then it changes direction, it will at least move your stop to break even plus 15, trying to protect some of that profit. That's the idea in the way that that works. Okay. If the market moves 20 ticks, move my stop to break even plus 15, and that gives you a way to protect some of that profit if it doesn't get to your target, but it moves profitably. Let's check our
Order
brackets.
submitted. Order canceled. Order submitted. Order canceled.
Okay, so the market seems under control at the moment. I think the market is interested in this report. Let me make sure my charts are on the right account this time. I think the markets are interested in the report. And we're triggering at 9:59:59. Okay. Let me see if there's any questions. You're not getting screens on YouTube. Sorry about that. I don't know if I can change that at the moment. Not sure why the charts aren't working
At 10 a.m. Eastern
on
Time, US
YouTube. I do
ISM data,
apologize.
services PMI forecast 51 on the prior 49.4,
Sorry.
with a range of 52.5 to
I do know
49.
why, but I don't know if
Services
I could
employment
change it right
forecast
now.
47.2 on the prior
Try one thing.
45.9.
I
Services
do know
prices
why.
paid forecast 59 on the prior 59.2. And services new orders forecast 53.2 on the
Yeah, you
prior
should see
52.2.
the charts hopefully in a minute. Possible. I know what happened. Okay, so 9:59:59 on our trigger. Charts are on the right account. And I see the charts are there on YouTube. Sorry about that. So we've got bonds on the right and we've got gold on the left. All right, so we've got a few minutes. ISM in February. This is what happened a couple of months ago. We've had some solid moves out of this report. Very large burst down, bonds and gold. Bonds and gold. So bonds on the right side, gold on the left. Gold looks like it wants to make a new high before this report. If it slowly dribbles up, I wouldn't mind that. But I think it's a little bit, almost 20 ticks away. It looks like it wants to go there. All right, so we're patiently waiting. Bonds are hitting their new high from the Canada news. Gold making that new high, or testing the high, I should say. And the ISM news, they are expecting well over 50 on the services. This is services, it's not manufacturing news. All right, so we're just patiently waiting. That's all we can do right now.
1 minute remaining. I'll lead with US ISM
1
services
minute.
PMI.
So I'll pay attention first to my gold trade in the cash account. Bonds is in Top Step.
Ten seconds.
Okay, 10 seconds to go. Orders will show up.
Order submitted. Order filled.
53 spot 8, 53 spot 8, higher than forecast 51. Services prices paid 58 spot 1, 58 spot 1, lower than forecast 59.
So that was
Services
a
new orders
really
54 spot 1,
crazy
54
whipsaw,
spot
it
1,
looks like to
higher than
me.
forecast 53 spot 2. Services employment 47 spot 1, 47 spot 1,
The
lower than forecast
It has
47 spot
mixed
2.
news
Seeing
on
some
it.
upside in
Just a
dollar, downside
really,
in stocks.
really not a good result from that trade. I have to look. The news is mixed, it looks like. And I'm seeing, hang on, mixed news on that. And looks like it caused a whipsaw. So I got filled long at 650, 660, right again, almost at
The
the
US
top of the
dollar
candle.
extends gains versus the yen after US services
I
data.
can't I
Last up
can't see it. I'm trying to see
0.7%
where
at
it got filled.
156.01. And US 10-year Treasury yields rise.
23
Last at
660.
4.324%.
So it looks like I got filled at the exact top of the candle. Exact top, which is so frustrating. Very frustrating. A lot of chop right now in the price action. A lot of chop in the price action. Let me look at the news. That was just a very, very bad response on gold. Looking at a smaller chart, it's the only way you can tell what happened.
Noting the Dixie rising, last up 0.1% at 104.25.
So here's where we got filled. The first it was 23 660, the top of the candle, right at the top of the candle, and then of course
And the
price
euro
burst
turns down
down
versus the dollar.
and stopped us
Last
out
at
because the bulk of the move
$1.0874.
was down. I mean, the move was short. It was a tremendous move down, but it burst up first, and that's what hurt the trade. Filled at the very tippy top of the candle. Sorry to see that. That's what happened. I mean, we could watch the video. It's not going to change what happened on that news. It was just a very, very bad trade. It is what it is. And bonds, um, I have to watch the video with bonds, but I think it did something similar, is my guess. If we remove, yep, looks like they got filled at the top of the candle also. So it's super frustrating. You have a report that's been working, 5 out of 6 months and working well, and then you get a report like that. So you can always say in retrospect, oh, I should have had a bigger bracket. I should have had a bigger bracket. But it's been working almost every month with the setup that we have. Definitely frustrating. Quite the reversals. Quite the reversals. All right, so we're done with our stream. I want to thank everybody for watching us on YouTube. We'll be streaming again on Friday. Thank you very much for watching.